Hi, thanks for clicking on my video. This is the Installing SQL Server 2016 Developer Edition video that I have created or am creating for students of SQL Server, but absolutely brand new to the product or even to databases in general. This is not for junior DBAs that are already have some experience in the field unless they've never done an installation and have been just more the backup restore type DBA. Definitely, it's going to be way under the skill set of a mid or senior DBA. So it'd be great for developers, sysadmins, managers, storage admins, somebody that just has SQL Server in their environment but doesn't really know that much about it, and someone's got told them we need to install SQL because we've got a customer process, whatever, and we need it tomorrow. So going to walk you through the very, very basic portions of it. No extra features, just the database engine to store and retrieve the data, and the SQL Server agent which runs your jobs. My name is Kevin Hill. My site is dallasdbas.com. I've got a blog there with a bunch of things that are targeted towards the same audience, junior DBAs, new guys just looking into the field to see if he or she is interested in being a DBA at all instead of whatever they're doing now. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin3NF. Follow me, send me a message, tag me in a post, whatever you want to do to get in touch with me. My site, there's a lot of blog stuff there, but there is some contact forms there as well. And I've had the same phone number since 1998, so a little Google foo and you'll know how to reach me. But if I don't know you and you call, I will send you to voicemail. Once I know you, then we can talk all day. Anyway, we're going to do a very bare bones installation here, and without any further ado, I'm going to go to my desktop and fire up the installer. This is 2016 Developer Edition, which is free. You will need to go to just Google SQL 2016 Developer download, and it'll take you to a page where you sign up for a Visual Studio Dev Essentials account, which is free. And in there you'll find a link to 2014 and 2016. Obviously, there's some differences in the product, but the Developer Edition is free. You cannot use it in production legally. It does have all the features of the Enterprise Edition, so you can code on it, you can learn on it, you can run it on your laptop. In the case of 2016, you'll need on your laptop Windows 10 or better. I don't know off the top of my head what you need for server. 2012, I know it'll install on that. It may go back farther to 2008 R2. It may not. I have not tested it. That is all documented very, very clearly on the Microsoft website as far as hardware and software requirements. But I know this will not run on Windows 7 or Windows 8 dot whatever. I know because I tried and it didn't work. So once you've opened up downloaded the executable or the ISO on Windows 10, it works just like anything else. You don't have to burn it to a CD or DVD anymore, which is awesome. Go to your setup.exe. Can't be any clearer than that. Tell it yes, and hang out for a second until the menu screen pops up. Lots and lots of choices in here. Over here on your left, planning your upgrade, planning to do this. Tons of choices in here, but we're just going to go straight to a very generic installation. More choices, add a node to a cluster, upgrade something, install just some tools, etc. We're going to do a new SQL Server standalone installation. That simply means this is not a clustered SQL Server because I'm installing it on my laptop. I already have a 2014 and a 2016 on here. Beautiful thing about SQL Server, you can run as many installations as your hardware will allow you to. You get past 3 or 4, especially on a laptop, and it's just going to be ridiculous to keep track of. But you can run two things side by side, test things, do test upgrades, whatever. It's very handy that way. So that's what we're doing today is a standalone install. Take a few seconds for this to come up, but I've got a pretty decent laptop, so it shouldn't be too long. I'm going to get one error here, or warning actually, for the Windows firewall. I'm just going to blow right past that because I don't run the Windows firewall behind my regular firewall. So, but if you get something in here that says failed and it won't light up your next button, then go fix it, rerun your validations, and hit next. There's really not a lot of choices here other than hide. You can view a report, maybe even if you've got to hand that off to desktop team to support you if this is your work laptop. Do whatever you got to do to get past this, but not too often do I see it fail. We'll hit next. Two choices here. I can add a feature to an existing 2016 install that I've already done. I don't want to do that today. I want a brand new squeaky clean install. Oh, this is the RTM version that was released in June of 2016. This is not the SP1. It does not have a Service Pack 1 slipstream. This is the same thing I downloaded back in June. If we want to do an SP1, that can certainly be done later. All right, so I'm going to do a new install, and this list down here is just telling me of the instances I've already installed, here's the things I have. A lot of the stuff is shared between instances. So you've got, just briefly, SQL Server Management Studio, you've got some documentation, you've got some et cetera, et cetera. But the engine and the actual features that are version specific, they get their own file path. Notice the 12 and the 13, those mean 14 and 16 as far as the version of SQL Server. The naming convention, the numbering is off and has been for a long time. It's just one of those things you just have to go, huh, that's weird, and move on, because it doesn't make any sense, but we all get it and we all accept it. All right, so perform a new installation, hit next. Specify a free edition. We love free. Express does not have a SQL Server agent in it. If you do that and you want to learn about scheduling jobs, now you're in trouble. You're going to have to upgrade a developer. Evaluation will time out on you, so stick with the developer edition. And if you had a license key, you could put that right here. It's all the same bits. So this just defaults to developer. Hey, look, I'm not reading that, but I'm going to scroll to the bottom just for fun so I can pretend I did. Hit next. Look, we're halfway down the list already. This is where it gets really fun. This is where you pick all the pieces and parts that you want to install. It's a fairly lengthy list. You can see some of these things are already installed because they're grayed out. I want the database engine. I'm not going to use this to replicate, which is distributed data, it's more than one SQL Server instance talking to each other. R services, way over the top for default install. None of these things I'm going to need. Analysis services, that's a whole nother world of SQL Server. It's great. It's really cool. Businesses use it every day. We're not putting it on my laptop. Reporting services, also very cool. Boss says I need a report. This is how he's going to get it. It's one way he can get it. There's a dozen other reporting tools out there. We're not putting that on either. So literally the only thing I've checked is the database engine, and that's what we care about. The SQL Server agent that runs the jobs, it's coming with it, because this is the developer edition, not the Express edition. Keeping with the theory of putting it all in and making this a very default, very simple install, right here, I'm just going to leave it in Program Files, SQL Server, and then there's branches underneath that for each version and each instance that I've installed. So we'll hit next, let it think about it for a second. Hopefully not too many seconds. There we go. I already have a default SQL Server instance on this machine for my 2014, so my other one is named, it's my machine name / SQL 2016. So I'm going to give it some new name. Named instance is going to be, I'm really creative. I'm almost as creative as Microsoft. I'm going to go with that, just so I know it's not the first one, it's the second one. And it just kind of picks up and puts that in there as well. So that directory we saw earlier, Program Files, SQL Server, this is where it starts splitting the things out that are installation specific. These are all independent. If I have two 2016s and I install Service Pack on one of them, the other one doesn't change. It doesn't hit all of them unless you choose for it to do that, which is fantastic because you can compare things. If Service Pack 1 is behaving one way and Service Pack 2 is another way, you may have found a new feature or a bug regression. There's no way to tell for sure right off the bat, but it has that feature in there, so you can pick and choose and control your installs instead of everything being mass updated. Hit next. Again, I'm still taking defaults. I've just given it a couple of pieces of information at this point. Really just the one, just the instance name is all I've actually told it to do. Right here, almost everything SQL Server does runs as a service, which for those of you that are not sure what a service is, it's simply an application that runs in the background without you having to open it like one of these taskbar items I've got down here. It's just always there. You can set it to be, like this SQL agent. I'm going to have it starting up manually. I'm going to have the database engine manual, and the browser service I'm not even going to go into. It's basically a traffic cop for SQL Server. The most important thing here for your desktop, your laptop, if you're secured or you're behind a firewall, just take the defaults here. You can very easily go pick a domain account if this was an actual production or development install on a server and you wanted to run it with super limited rights. You could get a service account from your directory services team and they'd give you the password, which may or may not expire. I just leave these alone for my default installs on a laptop because I don't want to have to mess with them again. I do leave them to manual because I don't need 3 instances of SQL Server running and taking memory and taking CPU when I'm not even using them. You know, if I want to be playing games, I don't need SQL servers running in the background. Remember, it's my personal workstation. Uh, this checkbox, check it. It's much more difficult to put this in place if you don't check it. All this really does is says when I'm initializing or when I'm creating a data file or growing a data file, and it has nothing to do with the SQL log file. Basically, if I need to make a 100 gig log file, or I'm sorry, data file, instead of allocating that space and then filling it up with zeros as SQL Server has been doing and writing out 100 gigs worth of zeros to overwrite anything that was previously in that space, this just says, that's my 100 gigs, let's move on to the next task. So it's much, much faster. And that's detailed right here on the screen. But just check this box. There's security warnings about there's whatever overwritten may not be, may be able to see it, but somebody'd have to be seriously hardcore hacked into your system for that to come into play. Or a disgruntled employee, and if he's doing that, he's already got rights, he can tear your whole system up. Check the box, things will go faster. You may not even realize how much faster, but definitely it's worth it. All right. Traditional SQL Server, you can run in Windows authentication mode only, or you can use mixed mode where it's Windows and SQL Server authentication. I do that for my laptops. I don't do that in production. I leave it in Windows only. I don't like SQL logins. I won't use them unless I'm forced to by the business. So I've got to put in a password for the SA System Administrator account, which I will go in later and disable that account. And please don't forget this step right here. Specify SQL Server administrators. You just created an SA account, but if that password is wrong, or you lose it or forget it, or the guy that installed this quits, you may not ever get into your SQL Server again without going through a bunch of backdoor tricks that are really not recommended. Add yourself. Just hit add current user and put yourself in there. Eventually my name's going to pop in there. Here we are. My initials, I'm on a Dell Precision laptop. Now you know. It's just me. So I'm an admin. I can go strolling into this SQL Server and do whatever I need to do because I'm an admin. I have God rights. That means I can blow it up really bad too. Go next. This is just a summary of everything we've done. You can scroll up and down to your heart's content. Look at all the different things. Most of those you picked. Oh, I missed one of the coolest features out there. This. If you've never installed SQL Server before, this won't be as exciting to you as it is to me. I'm just going to save that for a second. When we were here, I forgot to go across the tabs to the top. I'm so sorry. The data directories, this is where you can pick and choose where certain files are going to go. By default, your data files will go here, your log files will go here. When you do a backup, a regular backup without specifying, it'll go here. You can pick and choose where these go, and that's a great idea on a server. On a laptop, I'm going to leave them in the default directory so they stay separate from each other. If you're not familiar with the TempDB, it is a temporary database, and for some performance reasons, you really want to these options here as far as how many files and what size. This is for a pure performance thing. People have been having to go in and manually change the number of files and the size on their TempDBs since at least 2005, maybe even prior to that. I don't remember doing it in 2000, but that was a long time ago. The recommendation is 8 files. If you have 8 cores, 8 processor cores in your machine, if you have more than that, then you keep increasing this number to a certain point. You really need to go to brentozar.com for a great, easy to read summary of what TempDB contention is and why these files do this. And then for a very, very deep dive, go to SQLskills.com, which is Paul Randall's site, and just search on TempDB. You will have a plethora of information. It's deep, it's technical, it's well written, and it's accurate. Go read both of those sites. They're both very good, and they approach from a different direction as far as how much content and readability. But you need to understand why these choices are. Once again, my laptop, I'm going to take the 8 files, even though it's on a laptop. I don't, one file, I'm not going to go with that. They're going to grow at the same rate. They have the same initial size. This is basically, it's striping across 8 files for everything that happens in TempDB. And every time you restart, everything resets back to these defaults because it's temporary data. Okay, sorry for skipping that. File streaming is an advanced option. We were going to skip that because this is a default install. Now we hit next. Back to this screen. and we hit install. I don't honestly know how long this is going to take to install. It's been a while since I did it, but a couple of things you want to do. You want to look for a success message at the end, obviously, assuming you get that. And I don't anticipate anything that not happening. But whoa, keep going that fast, please. Uh, you want to check to make sure the services are there in your services from the control panel or services.msc, and they should have 2016 underscore B specifically listed. Um, and then you want to go in and you want to connect to it using SQL Server Management Studio, which by the way I do have on my machine, but that is not included with the 2016 installer. It is on every prior version back to 2005, and in 2000 it had a different name, of course, because everything changed. But if you're doing this on a clean install machine, don't have any SQL Server on it already, Management Studio is a separate download that is updated by Microsoft's product team every month. So feature enhancements and bug issues, they're resolved much, much faster than waiting for a service pack or waiting for a new release of the product. So you download that and you install it separately. I've already done that, and if I open it up, it's going to bark at me about I need to update it because I haven't done that. We're done. Now again, this is on a very nice laptop. Um, and I took the minimal features. If I had put analysis services and reporting services, it'd still be spinning like crazy, but it would finish relatively quickly. Back in SQL 7, you were done in 10 minutes at most, maybe 5. Next, 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 go. It was pretty much the install. It was fun, but then you had to go configure it for hours to get it the right way. All right, we're going to close this, and it's there. It's installed. You don't see it, of course, because this is in the way. Let me see if I've got anything else in the way. All right. It didn't give me any errors. Let's go, like I said, to services, and we'll just see what it looks like, because it all runs every bit of it runs as a service, just like I said, where it's simply an application runs in the background that you don't open it manually. You may start the service manually, which is basically the same thing. All right, there's a lot of SQL Server stuff in here. Of course, these are alphabetical or can be made to be alphabetical. This is my 2014 default installation. This is the 2016 I put on in June. And there's the core database engine for the one we just did. All right, that's the engine. These 3 agents are the job scheduling. That's what runs the jobs that you scheduled. Express Edition does not have this. There's my 2014, there's my old 2016, there's the one we just did. Notice that this analysis services, 2014, 2016, there's not one because we didn't pick that feature. Same thing with the reporting services. My other 2 installs, I installed everything for a reason. For this base, the things that are missing are what you should be noticing here. Notice that they're almost all set to manual. What I do when I'm running, I've got a little batch file. Let's just go ahead and fire up my previous 2016. It's real simple. A couple of net stops and starts. That's the stop one. Let's look at the start one. Net start the service, net start the agent, or the desktop engine and the agent. That's all it does. I run that as administrator. Yes. Black screen of cool things. Go back over to services and refresh it. And now you see that the 2016 and the 2016 agent are both running. It's as simple as that. We have a successful SQL Server installation. Now, just because I can run them both at the same time, and you probably want to see that, we'll start this one. I don't have a batch file for that because I just installed it. We'll start the agent 2 just for fun. And you'll see I have 4 running services. 2 engines, 2 agents. Management Studio. Let's fire that up. This is again, I installed this back in, I don't know, June, July, something like that. So it's going to bark at me and tell me that I have updates are available and all that. So when you're logging on, this is the tool you use all day long as a DBA, all day, every day. You have choices here. You can pick the 2016 or the 2014, or you can just type in _B because that's the one we just installed. And there it is. There's my update message. There's the one we just installed. I love this tool that we can just, you can hit drop down or you can type, you can put in an IP address. And I've got each of my 2016s, I've got them both right there so I can look at the databases that I may or may not have. I don't even know what I've got on here. Nothing. Typically when I'm done with testing something, I go ahead and trash it because I just don't care. So this is my install. We can look at the properties of it, and we'll see that it's the developer edition. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can look at in here, but that's really more for another video to walk you through the management studio and all, go through every one of these things. I will put that together at some point, haven't done it. What I will show you is this management node and then the SQL Server logs. This is the error log for this instance specifically. This one does not relate to the other instance. They're not mixed. I'm going to go in here, open it up, maximize it, and I'm going to look for any errors in the startup. It's reverse chronological error, but you can hit this and you make it look a lot prettier. I want to go in here and just look for errors, things that are screaming at me. And it's all the stuff. It says, hey, look, you've got a nice computer. I'm using this kind of setting. I'm doing a bunch of stuff. That instant file initialization where it doesn't zero anything out, that's turned on, so that's a good thing. And these are all normal messages that you're seeing here. So I'm not seeing any errors, and that's a really good thing. That's a great message there. Recovery is complete. The databases are fine. Nothing got corrupted. This thing is ready to use, ready for me to test it and drive it crazy and break it and all kinds of fun stuff. And that, my friends, is it. I'm going to put this up. It's obviously on YouTube. That's where you're seeing it. Go ahead if you've got questions about this or you think I did something weird or wrong or whatever, fire away. Put it in the comments. Contact me directly. If I did, mess something up, I'll correct it in the description of the video. I hope you got something out of this. I know I enjoyed making it for you, and we will see you in the next video, whenever that is. Take care.